Whenever you're working in this field, you need to think about your motivations and take a really good hard look at what it is that you're wanting to do and why you're wanting to do it. So it's a research in this sort of area is, particularly for non-Indigenous people, is a process of introspection. Then the other thing you need to think about is the process of reflecting on knowledge, and your knowledge-making processes, because those knowledge-making processes are going to be quite different to the knowledge-making processes that another group of people are going to have. And what you need to do is think about how you could frame your research so that it includes something about the introspection and thinking about your knowledge processes, your knowledge-making processes, and include that in the research, because it's going to be there anyway. Part of any interaction in a cross-cultural sense is always going to be about what you are and who you are and how you change in the process of doing that research. So one of the things you should do is try and think about how you can include that and frame it in your research in some way or another. So that way you're including yourself, and you're formally bringing yourself and you and your thinking and the way that you're changing into the research process. So that's one of the things that I think is really important. Then that leads to two things. One of those is relationships, and so that's the idea that you've got to establish relationships with people before you can begin to do any form of research. If you think that you can go into a place cold and start asking questions and doing research, then that's a sign of where your thinking and your knowledge-making processes are quite different, probably, to the knowledge-making processes that might happen with that particular group of people. That's probably a little bit of stereotyping for Indigenous people, because not everyone's going to be like that. Some people you can ask, go up to, cold call them and ask them questions about things, but it's really good stereotype, if you like, that to apply to think about building relationships first, and then if they're less necessary, which I can't imagine how they would be, but if they're less necessary, then you're in a good position to continue with the research. And then the second thing, I think, is then how those relationships build a process of co-researching. So thinking about how you build in a way of involving the people that you're working with for them to be part of the research, for them to be shaping and informing the research processes. So that's all about knowledge and knowledge making as well, and how it's the introspection, if you like, on your knowledge making and knowledge making processes, and how those shape your research, and being open to the possibility of thinking about things in a different way. So allowing Indigenous people who you might be researching with to inform that research process and inform the knowledge making processes that you're about to embark upon.